It's time for NEC Women's Basketball on the Run. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ralph Ventre. It's mid-February. The stretch run has arrived. Only 1/3 of the conference schedule remains. Let's get right to work, chop it up about some NEC women's hoops. Let's start by taking a look at where we stand. Oh, how sweep it is. 4 teams produced 2-win weekends. Of the 4 teams that went 2-0, we start with Robert Morris. Now, I was in attendance at the Sacred Heart Robert Morris game of the week, Saturday at the Pitt Center, and I must note that the Pioneers have been injury-plagued for much of the season. They were without their dynamic scorer, Adrian Haygood. Jessica Minetti's rotation was down to just 7 players in Saturday's game against Robert Morris, but that should not take away from the effort that Charlie Buscalia's Colonials put forth. Robert Morris was dominant. They were crisp. They were efficient in a near 30-point victory. They are 12-0 now in conference play, 2/3 of the way to a perfect season. It's the best start to the NEC schedule in Robert Morris's program history, and they've done it in impressive fashion. The Robert Morris defense has suffocated opponents of late. They haven't allowed more than 42 points in any of the last 4 games. Their scoring defense limits opponents to only 38.5 points per contest during the month of February. Robert Morris has it rolling. Now let's take a look at some of the others chasing them down in the Northeast Conference standings. It's been quite a maiden voyage at the Division I level for the Merrimack Warriors. They put together a 2-win week, have won 5 of their last 6 in the top half of the conference standings during their first season of Northeast Conference competition. Another impressive note about Monique LeBlanc's Warriors, they have won 3 straight conference games on the road. Like Merrimack, Bryant was 2-0 last week as well. Mary Burke's Bulldogs snapped a 3-game slide and are right back in the thick of the NEC playoff race. A shout out to Bryant senior Sydney Holloway. She came off the bench in both of the Bulldogs' victories and made history while doing so. In Saturday's win, she secured her 1,000th career rebound. She is now one of only 3 players in Bryant's Division I history to amass both 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds in a career. So shout out to Sid. The Bulldogs are ballin'. Now, Mount St. Mary's is the other 2-0 team from this past week, and we'll have plenty on the Mount later in the show. But first, we congratulate Maria Marchesano's Mountaineers. They clinched an NEC tournament berth. Both Mount and SFU secured win number 9 on the conference schedule, and as a result, guaranteed themselves the opportunity to play into March. Mount St. Mary's, St. Francis U, and Robert Morris are 3 of the teams that will make up the 8-team NEC tournament field. 5 spots remaining, plenty of opportunities to earn a trip to the postseason, and it all starts with a full slate on Saturday. She gets buckets. She's Ozzie Mamadou. She is from Britain and joined Robert Morris's team, and she's partying like it's 1776 for all you American history buffs out there. Ozzie Mamadou, a 6'3" center, comes off the bench for Robert Morris, and in 2 appearances last week, she totaled 36 points in 38 minutes of floor time. An intimidating and productive presence in the post, Ozzie Mamadou has scored at least 10 points in 5 of her last 6 games. She has 4 straight double-double performances. In the month of February, the backup is averaging 15 points per appearance. Ozzie Mamadou hasn't played more than 22 minutes in a game this season, but she's averaging nearly 10 points per outing. An even closer look shows us that Ozzie Mamadou accounts for more than 1/2 point per minute. Her name is Ozzie Mamadou. She's Robert Morris's 6'3", 6th woman, and when she comes off the bench, she gets buckets. I'm calling the Twitter timeout. For the second week in a row, we'll take a look at a tweet from a young, dynamic coach in the Northeast Conference. Last week, it was Fairleigh Dickinson's Ange Zamiwa. This week, we take a look at Mount St. Mary's Maria Marquezano. In her 3rd season at the helm, Coach Marquezano has the Mount on the up and up. They currently sit alone in 2nd place in the Northeast Conference standings following a grueling 4-game road swing. As you can see, Coach Marquezano was impressed by the effort that her team displayed throughout that stretch. And now it's time to look at why that 4-game win streak is truly stats amazing. So we are right into the next segment of our show. Mount St. Mary's riding high. They won 4 consecutive Northeast Conference road games for the first time since the 2014 campaign. A key culprit of the 4-0 road trip was Mount's hot shooting. The Mountaineers were sizzling from the field, didn't shoot lower than 41% in any of the 4 games. In those 16 quarters of basketball combined, Mount St. Mary's shot 45.9% from the floor. 3 different women led Mount St. Mary's in scoring over the past 4 games, and their most recent victory bumped the team's NEC win total to 9, surpassing the 8 wins that Mount St. Mary's tallied last winter. Mount St. Mary's 4 for 4 in their last 4 NEC road games, shooting better than 45% from the field. Stats amazing. Now let's kick it out to the corner where Craig D'Amico is waiting to drop his weekly NEC WBB hot takes.
Thanks, Ralph. Welcome back to the corner. It's time now for my golf clap of the week, the most impressive thing I saw this week in NEC women's basketball, and we're talking about the Merrimack Warriors. The Warriors have certainly come out to play, sweeping their way through the tri-state area this past weekend, surviving the Sharks by 3, and then crossing over the river to the Garden State to take down the Knights by 18. On Saturday in the Shark Tank, the Warriors were up 1, 5 seconds left. LIU with the ball under their own basket looking to inbounds, and Merrimack's Courtney Klassen came up with the interception. She was fouled. She would make the ensuing free throws to seal the win. Then on Monday, the Warriors put up one of their best offensive outings of the season. They opened the game on a 17-5 run. They started the second half outscoring FDU 31-15 in the third quarter. For the evening, they shot 50% from the field. They hit 13 threes, and they recorded a season-high 84 points. Now, we all know Sticks. She's a Player of the Year candidate. She's been as sharp as Cupid's arrow. Merrimack certainly in love with what she's been doing on the court, leading the league in points, rebounds, and blocks. But let's not forget about the rest of the cast. DeCesare, their freshman point guard, has the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the league. Kate Major, #1 in the NEC in made threes. And how about Elena Fursman? Stepping into the starting role the last 10 games, she's averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds during that stretch. The Warriors are an impressive 8-4 in league play this year, their first year playing an NEC schedule. They're 1 win shy of assuring at least a 500 record. Now, Merrimack is ineligible for the NEC tournament until 2024, but it's always fun to play what if. What if they were eligible for the NEC tournament? If they were eligible for the NEC tournament, they could clinch a playoff spot with a win on Saturday against Wagner on ESPN+, but they're not, so they can't. But it'll be a benchmark game for them nonetheless when they take on the Seahawks Saturday on ESPN+. And also, we want to give a quick shout out to Nevena Dmitrievich, freshman point guard for St. Francis Brooklyn. She had an incredible 31-point game this past weekend. And also, breaking news, she was just honored, named to a gathering of the Serbian national team, which is happening in May. So congratulations to Nevena as her incredible freshman campaign continues. Now, for my game to watch this week, and we're off next week. There is no NEC women's basketball on the run, but there is some important things going on in NEC women's basketball. It's only the game that we've been looking forward to all season long on the calendar. Finally, Robert Morris, Mount St. Mary's, they go at it next Friday in Moon Township, and so we're skipping ahead on the calendar next week's game to watch. Personally, I've been looking forward to this game since walking out of the gym last March after calling their semifinal playoff. Mount gave Robert Morris all they can handle. They made them sweat like a pig in a sauna in that semifinal, and that was after they handed the Colonials their first conference defeat last year in the regular season, after the Colonials started a then program best 11-0. Once again, Robert Morris's polycephalic pair of Azebo and Ozzie Mamadou continued to dominate the post, accounting for 34% of the Robert Morris offense. Azebo and Ozzie Mamadou are 2 of the top 5 in the league in usage rate. Last year in the postseason, Azebo was able to get to the basket with pretty free will late in the game when Rebecca Lee was off the floor. So the big question going into next Friday's matchup, can Mount St. Mary's stop the two-headed monster this time around? Can they limit Azebo or Mamadou's touches? Can they protect the basketball? They had over 20 turnovers in both regular season games last year, including the game they won in the regular season. And can they hold their own on the glass, limiting Robert Morris's second chance opportunities? Both teams are incredibly deep, incredibly athletic, and if Mount St. Mary's can get a few of those things to go their way, it'll be a very exciting game to watch in Hoop Township next Friday. All right, Ralph, so a lot that we talked about today on the podcast about Robert Morris and Mount St. Mary's. They go head-to-head finally for the first time this year next Friday. It should be very exciting to watch. That's all for now. We'll see you coming up in 2 weeks as we head to the stretch run, postseason just around the corner here on NEC Women's Basketball on the Run.
Thanks, Craig. Looking forward to catching up with you again before the NEC tournament tips off. As for today, that will do it for this week's show. I must remind you that we will go on a 1-week hiatus. No show next week. Our producer, director, Kyle Turner, will be away from the studio, out in the field, bringing you live coverage from the NEC Swim and Dive Championships, as well as the Indoor Track and Field Championships. So it's championship week on Front Row next week. No hoop show, but you better believe we'll be back before the postseason tips off. I'm Ralph Ventre. Thank you for watching NEC Women's Basketball on the Run. Until next time.